Rebel Force Radio presents.
Last night, a Jedi was murdered.
She's killing Jedi.
I didn't do it! Believe me!
She was my student. I trained her. Now she is a student of the dark side.
This is a fight that you will not win.
The Jedi live in a dream, but an acolyte kills the dream.
This is Rebel Force Radio's The Acolyte After Show.
All right, here we go. Hope you're ready. Acolyte After Show. The first one. Looking at the first two episodes, the premiere of a brand new series in Star Wars storytelling, a whole new era. And I got to confess, I got to get my sea legs here. You know, I'm not one for the books, as longtime listeners know, or the comics. And I know that if you've been keeping up with the High Republic, not that it's necessary, but if you have been, then this series is going to maybe mean a little bit more to you. Perhaps there's going to be Easter eggs that you're going to find, that you're going to catch, that High Republic muggles like me won't. But as we learned with Ahsoka, there's a cost to that. When you have the cost of entry so high in something as mainstream and beloved as Star Wars, are they gatekeeping when they create these sort of prerequisites, you know, that you need to have? I actually don't think that's a problem with this series. I was relieved of that. But still, it's a whole new slate of characters, new actors. So yeah, it is just it just feels very fresh. It feels very new, and it's a little intimidating, honestly, to be carrying on a conversation about something that is so fresh, but also really exciting. We don't have some of those old tropes to lean on the characters and maybe some of the creatives and some of the things that have become a little rote, maybe a little bit repetitious here. So it's a whole new day for Star Wars and a whole new day for Rebel Force Radio, but one thing is certain and one thing doesn't change as we try to bring you the absolute best coverage and discussion about this stuff. And the Acolyte is certainly had its fair share of discussion ever since it was announced, ever since the creative team and the cast was announced, lots of discussion. And, it comes down to, I think, hype or hate, which wins. And we're going to be breaking it all down here at Rebel Force Radio on this very, very special premiere episode of the Acolyte After Show. Of course, I'm not alone. With me, as always, thank goodness, is my good friend and yours from Chicago, Jimmy Mack.
Hey, Jason. Hey, Star Wars fans. We are back here with the Acolyte After Show. And, hype or hate. It seems to me like a lot of hate's been fueled by hype. So I don't believe the hype. And I just look at the Star Wars that's being presented to us. And you guys know I go into it with the attitude of just enjoy Star Wars. Don't let yourself get crushed underneath the weight of so many things outside of the realm of Star Wars. And I think this show, so far, it seemed to be presenting us a take on the Star Wars universe that's a little bit more it fleshed out and developed than what we've seen in previous streaming shows, bar the first two seasons of Mandalorian and Andor. It feels like the roots run deep in this story. And I'm really looking forward to seeing where it takes us. So I'm looking forward to having some interesting conversations with you, Jason, and the RFR audience.
Yeah, I know the conversation is going to be good, and I want this to be a big tent in terms of the discussion. We're going to be putting the number up. The number's in the description on YouTube, 708-866-1737. We want you to call in whether you love the show, whether you hate the show, but we want the conversation to be thoughtful. We don't want it to just be, I don't like it because I don't like it, or I don't like it because, I don't like Leslie Headland. She worked for Harvey Weinstein at one point. Okay, if that was true, you'd never watch a Woody Allen movie ever again, and you'd be robbed of some great cinema. So we're not here to judge the character of the people making this stuff. What we're here to do is talk about it in terms of Star Wars, and I think that's why these after shows and Rebel Force Radio continues to, I think, be a lightning rod for Star Wars fandom, because we keep it really honed in on the wars and let the others play politics all they want. So let's get into it. Let's talk about the tail of the tape. We're talking about the very first 2 episodes. Both of them with this kind of odd, like sort of forward / title, I noticed, which just struck me as interesting. Lost Found is the first episode. Revenge Justice, the second. And both, of course, written and directed by Leslie Headland. Jim, I suspect that the entire series will be written and directed by Leslie Headland. Are there other directors that you've heard about?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of other directors.
Oh, are there? Okay. All right.
Yes. Yeah. And I believe there's a staff of writers working on this show. So it's not
she
just
she gets the solo writing credit.
Well, it's the premiere episodes, and it's really based on her story. So that makes sense, And I wouldn't be surprised if she gets the series or season finale writing credits as well. But you notice that in the title, it's one word / another word. And I think that is sort of paralleling the duality of the 2 characters, May and Osha. That
interesting. Okay.
Sort of like,
cool. Yeah. Like the 2 sides of the same coin and all of that.
Exactly. Yes.
Music, of course, by Michael Abels. We were wondering about him. He's sort of unproven in the world of Star Wars, certainly. We'll be talking about that as well. Both episodes premiered June 4th, 2024 on Disney+. The first episode came in about 42 minutes, and the second episode a little shorter, 38 minutes. I don't know why. I just had this idea in my head that they would be longer. And I was talking to somebody at the day job. Why am I always surprised when history repeats itself with Star Wars streamers? I always think, this will be maybe this one will be a 55, 58 minute, per episode show. And consistently it's not. So, this seems to be pretty par for the course, similar to Ahsoka, similar to Mandalorian. Opening episode, closing episode, sometimes a little bit longer, but somewhere in that 35 to 45 minute range is probably what we're going to be getting.
Yeah, I agree. I think I've seen official confirmation as far as that goes, saying that, most of the episodes are similar in length to the first 2 episodes that we've seen screened. And it seemed like it was a pretty solid usage of that 35 to 40 minutes in my book.
Yeah.
I think they packed a lot into both episodes.
I got to tell you, here's something that I found really refreshing about this series is, and we're going to talk maybe a little bit in some broader strokes here at the top, but I found the pacing to be really satisfying in the sense that they didn't let you dangle on some of the mysteries for very long. And that tells me that there's bigger fish to fry with this series. They didn't spend the first 3 or 4 episodes making you wonder whether or not, is it May? Is it Osha? Is there really a twin? And I think one of the best examples of this was when, and I'm using a cheat sheet on names, by the way, so don't judge, but when they find Osha standing over the body of Torben, and she's got the vial of poison, I go, here we go. This is going to set us back in a half of an episode or an episode. And right away, she was vouched for by Jord Fondar and said, no, I was trailing her. She didn't do it. So that showed me that they're not going to waste our time stretching things out. However, the flip side is, what's the real mystery? I'm starting to wonder what the real mystery is. Right.
Because if this is supposed to be a murder mystery, they're failing miserably.
Right.
Because they revealed everything. The whodunit factor is completely blown out the window.
Right.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
Does my video look as bad to you as it does to me?
It does. I'm wondering if maybe there's a little bandwidth issues on your end. I'm looking at Tyler right now. He looks pretty clear. So maybe there, or it could be some things. Maybe you need to close out of some things if you haven't.
No, I have a full restart of my computer and nobody is home streaming or doing anything right now. So there might just be a lot of cicadas on my internet connection right now, chewing
And
on the power line.
we can see Tyler is pretty clean, pretty clear here. You can almost see
Tyler.
the individual hairs in his beard.
Oh, you can always count on Tyler. But me, no, I'm a sloppy mess. So I'll tell you what, talk to Tyler for a second. I'm going to punch out and punch back in, see if that makes a difference.
All right, we can do that. We can do that. All right. So Tyler, this is called vamping. We're going to vamp a little bit. Oh, here comes Mac. Maybe we don't have to vamp that long. Here he is. Oh, okay. This is looking better. Oh, look at you. Look how handsome and clear.
My dad taught me this when I was a kid, when there was problems with the TV. Just turn it off and turn it back on again, and that usually fixes 95% of your problems. So here I am in 3D coming at you with some acolyte conversation.
Well, Tyler barely got a syllable out, but we'll definitely check in with Tyler later. Thanks, buddy. I know
I had a great time
calls to screen.
At the Chicago
let's talk
screening
about
with Tyler.
Yeah, you guys saw the big premiere. What was this on Monday in Chicago?
Yeah. We primed our pumps at the Billy Goat restaurant, the famous Billy Goat Tavern. Cheeseburger. And we did that. Yes, indeed. We bookended the film with double cheeseburgers.
Nice.
Before and after double cheeseburgers. It was fabulous. I was living large, but it was great to be there experiencing new Star Wars with an audience. Before the show started, I was trying to get people pumped up because it seemed kind of like, everybody was it was a Monday, It was a Monday, and it was a almost entirely adult audience. So every once in a while before the film would start, I would go, Star Wars! And then you'd hear in the back, like 3 guys go, woo!
The first one you did, it got a good reaction.
The first one I did. The second time I did it was really tepid, and I felt.
Now, was this like one of the like a big AMC theater, or was this a local theater? Okay, so this is one of the chains.
And we were in the high-tech Dolby Theater there, too, at the AMC River East, downtown Chicago. And I saw a lot of RFR listeners there. That was really nice. They were saying hi and asking about you. And I'm like, well, Jason's not going to, fly in for this and then fly back out. But it would be cool if you did. And it was really fun just to be sitting there watching these episodes on a big screen.
Yeah. I was thinking about that as I was watching the episodes because there are some really strong, I think, classic Star Wars editing going on with this series. The wipes, the washes, things like that. Very Star Warsy, and I'm sure seeing it on that big screen would definitely help. All right, well, Tyler, we'll be checking in with you in a little bit, but we know you got calls to screen. So the number is up there, 708-866-1737. Get in the queue. Patreon supporters jump immediately to the head of the line. But Jim, we were talking about, and you put it very, very succinctly and very well. Wow, if this is a murder mystery, they're not doing so hot because we know. So then that leads us to ponder, well, what is this show really here to examine and question? There is a deeper mythology with what happened 16 years prior to this series starting with the fire that killed the family of Osha and May.
Yes.
And it seems to have involved 4 of the Jedi in some fashion. Our lead hero, Sol, Tarban, Indara, and Kelnaka. And slowly but surely, there's a hit list, and May seems to be taking them out one by one. So should we assume that the real mystery of this show is what happened on that planet 16 years ago? Do we think that's really what we're here to uncover?
Yeah, I believe. Well, I mean, to us as an audience, that's the real mystery. The characters know stuff we don't know. And so I hope they have a series of flashbacks. And I'll tell you why. A friend of mine is a big Carrie Ann Moss fan. And you can imagine some of his outrage I had to listen to today.
Oh, boy.
As she gets killed off in the first scene she appears in. But we know that the possibility of flashbacks are strong. And I wouldn't be surprised, because not only Carrie-Anne Moss do I want to see get a little more action in this episode, and if it comes via flashbacks explaining to us what went down on that planet, and that fire, then I welcome it, because not only Carrie-Anne Moss, I want to see a little bit more of this Master Torben guy. He seems like an interesting kind of dude. And I love the
throw out one little complaint on Torben?
Yeah, sure.
I got a very cool idea of the character. Love the idea of him being in meditation for hours or days or years on end or whatever it's been.
Years. He doesn't.
Years
they say
on end.
in the show he hasn't talked to anyone in about a decade.
But I couldn't help, when I looked at the guy, think that he looked like one of the little rascals when they like try to play off as like an old guy, like an adult, and they put like a fake beard on and they wear a wig. Like the guy, the actor, Dean Charles Chapman, is a fairly young guy.
Oh.
And they just kind of have him, doing that sort of cliche, Jedi look with the beard and all that. And it was one of those where I was like, wow, I felt like that was a miss for a character that was pretty cool and interesting. I just wasn't he looked like a young guy that was made to look older, and I don't know why they went that direction. Just a little.
Well, I'll tell you what. I took note of not his facial hair or even his age. It was the scarring and the white eye. The eye with no pupil.
Right.
I want to know what's up with that.
What up with that?
I didn't even get past the scars to even consider what else was going on with this guy. I mean, because that's a pretty massive scar on his forehead. And obviously he might even be blinded in that eye.
Yeah.
I'd like to know more about that.
Yeah, little Anakin Skywalker, with that scar right above the eye, though Anakin didn't lose sight in the eye and he didn't have like the milky eye, but yeah, he has the milky eye that you see.
Yes, the milky eye.
Yeah, it was just an odd choice, but it's definitely an interesting character. There are a lot of interesting characters, I think, in the show. But let's start at the very beginning and talk about this. This, I guess we can't really call it a crawl.
FJ called it a crawl. If it's good enough for FJ, it's good enough for us.
FJ considers this a crawl. It doesn't really crawl, but it certainly is on the screen. So 100 years before the rise of the Empire, it is a time of peace. The Jedi Order and the Galactic Republic have prospered for centuries without war. That's thousands of years for some of you.
False. Because it sort of discounts the battles that went on during the High Republic novel series.
Oh, they were against the pirates, weren't they?
Yeah, so maybe they don't consider that to be legitimate war because they were fighting these the Nihil, which they're very much like pirates, nomads. Maybe it's probably a better way to describe them. Nomads with agendas, and so I don't know how they can say centuries without war. But I guess a war would have to be a declaration of war between two nations, or in the Star Wars universe, like systems or planets. And you don't really have that because it's almost like the Nihil serve like as terrorists. So I would still consider it war. It would have been very flawed if it said without conflict.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. But I think maybe that's the workaround, is that it's not a legitimate, there's nobody declaring war with the Nihil. It's the Nihil invade.
Gotcha.
And they act more like terrorists.
Okay.
In my opinion.
So Max calling BS on the crawl right out of the
I'm not. I just rationalized.
I know. Okay, but in the dark corners of the can you see him at home? Or in the theater? No, like with the things. The show is on for like seconds. Max already. No, not canon. All right, but in the dark corners of the galaxy, a powerful few learn to use the Force in secret. Okay. This is where the rubber starts to hit the road in this crawl. In the dark corners of the galaxy, a powerful few learn to use the Force in secret. So they're obviously creating a separation between the Jedi Order and the Jedi Knights, as they talk about in the first paragraph. But this is something different. A powerful few learn to use the Force in secret. So this very well could be the growing threat of the Sith. This is the return of the Sith.
Yeah, I think they're specifically referencing that because there are other Force users in the galaxy during the High Republic era, and they even get represented on a council. It's like the meeting of the five families, where you have these different groups who all come together, and the Jedi are one of those groups. But then you have like your witches and others. Yes. So it's not, the Force isn't exclusive to the Jedi necessarily during the era of the High Republic, but the Jedi are attempting to claim like a monopoly on the Force. They want to be controlling of any Force user in the galaxy. And any Force user has to fall under the Jedi Order. Yeah.
Yeah, and this is nothing new. I remember when the Sith witches, or excuse me, the Dathomir witches first came into play in the Clone Wars. We talked to Dave Filoni a lot about that. And that was when Dave made it very, very clear that the Force is not something that belongs just to the Jedi and the Sith, that there are other users. So this isn't new. Though some people that are just jumping onto this be wondering, how are these other people using it? One of them, a lone assassin, risks discovery to seek revenge. So risks discovery. We can that implies that these powerful few Force users that are in the dark corners of the galaxy do not want to be known. They don't want to be found.
Yeah.
And revenge, of course, is a big motivator here in the case of May. So, so we get a crawl. I thought that was welcome because it definitely put it into context, especially talking about this, being 100 years prior to the rise of the Empire. Yeah. That's going to be helpful for the people that, I'm thinking about some of my more casual Star Wars fans that I've really, by the way, I've evangelized this series to them to say, give it a try, because oddly enough, despite the fact that we, for the most part, enjoyed Ahsoka, it was Rebels Season 5, those of us who have been bathed and baptized in the waters, we enjoyed it. But for a lot of my casual Star Wars fans, they were really lost and just, they didn't understand what was going on. So I assured them, I was taking a little bit of a gamble, but I had a pretty good idea that this was going to create some self-context. And I was glad to see that crawl.
My big phrase that I use when people start asking me about this show, because inevitably they'll ask me, what do I need to know?
Right.
And I always say, well, the price of admission for this one is really cheap. It might as well be free. As long as you understand sort of like the balance of the way things work in Star Wars, like a broad idea of who the Jedi Knights are and how they serve the galaxy and things like that, and what they're capable of doing and what their weaknesses are. And their weaknesses, naturally, the Jedi, their weaknesses, the dark side.
Right.
Yeah. They open themselves up to the dark side, they're screwed. So that's like kryptonite to them. And I find it best just to say, there's no price of admission for this one. You can roll right into it and watch it. And I really think you can with this series. Ahsoka was the exact opposite end of the spectrum in so many ways.
Yeah.
In so many ways.
Well, I think it was frustrating for people, and there's one particular friend of mine that I have in mind, because he knew Anakin Skywalker. He was aware of Ahsoka being a character. And then, he would see like Vader pop up in it. So he was just very, because there were enough things in it that he kind of thought he understood, but it was not exactly what he thought. So this is all new characters. I'll tell you one thing that I thought was really refreshing here. There was no government involved. You saw no chancellor. You saw no senators.
However, Master Soul does make a statement that had me scratching my head.
Hmm.
When Vernestra Rowe, to jump ahead, she reveals to Soul she wants to keep the news about the assassination on the down low.
Right.
So their political enemies cannot use it against them.
That's
and it
right.
Kind
He
of
did use
smacked
that
me
phrase,
up.
didn't he?
It smacked me upside my head. Who are the political enemies of the Jedi? And are the Jedi politicians in this era? Can a Jedi serve the government in the role as a lawmaker? Does that happen in Star Wars? Why would they have political opponents, and why would they care about the political opponents? They're Jedi.
Yeah, that's a good one. He does say that, right? He does say political opponents specifically.
Yes, he says our political opponents can use it against us.
So already okay. Let's back up a second and remind ourselves that by the time we meet the Jedi in the Phantom Menace, they're already pawns of the government. They're working on behalf of.
Yes.
So right now they're not. It doesn't appear that way, but they do have enemies within the government, the political enemies. So therefore, something's going to happen. It could be the result of this conspiracy that ends up putting the Jedi as subservient to the government, the Republic.
Yeah, like absolutely subservient.
Right.
Maybe they have like a long leash in these in this era. By the time we catch up with them in the prequels, they're fully under the thumb of the established government. But I still can't understand why the Jedi would develop political enemies, because they serve the Republic. So it doesn't matter who wins the election, the Jedi will serve them. In this case, it almost seems like, to put it in the real world, it's like a political opponent of the current president hates the Secret Service because they serve the government and they serve the sitting president. The Jedi will serve the sitting chancellor, whoever it is. They will protect senators. And that's been shown all across the board in Star Wars. And it doesn't matter which end of the political spectrum those senators or the chancellor actually is. So I can't understand how they would develop any hatred against them or any political pushback. And it seems like that's something Palpatine really exploited. But he had to go to great lengths to create these scenarios.
Right.
And
talk about clandestine.
Yeah, I mean, he had to be Machiavellian on steroids just to get the Jedi kind of pinned up against the wall so people will start hating them and force them to attempt a coup on a political coup on the government. That's what it was framed to look like. And
just to
in
put
many ways, that's what it actually was.
To put the quote in context, what Jim was talking about, it said, if it were to become public that a former Jedi killed one of our own, and Saul answers, our political enemies could use it against us. Discretion is important. Our justice swift and example made. So this is about stifling it out. I mean, stamping it out. Absolutely. Just wiping. So this creates a precedent that the Jedi, they are mindful of their PR. They don't want bad PR.
For sure.
And maybe we'll find out why and all of that. So this is an era where the Sith have been destroyed, according to Ki-Adi-Mundi, during the Great Wars of 1,000 years ago. So the Sith are destroyed. They've been gone for, like I said, 1,000 years. And we meet Osha on this planet. I believe the planet is Yuda or Ueda? U-E-D-A?
Euda.
Euda. Easy for you to say.
A tribute to the expanded universe.
Oh, is this has prior art?
No, EU, expanded universe.
Oh,
Euda.
I thought it was UE. Wait a minute. Isn't it UEDA?
Yeah, but I could have sworn they said on the, because I always listen to that audio descriptive track, and I could have sworn she pronounced it Uda, but it does look like it's flipped. It would be EUDA. Whatever.
Yeah. Sorry, I said OSHA. I meant May. Walking into that.
Hey,
into
listen,
that
I've
bar.
seen top journalists have been making that same mistake for mainstream publications with massive distribution. They've been flip-flopping them as well. So
well, let's talk
I knew
about
somebody would do it. We should have made bets before the show began. Who is going to be the first to flip-flop May and OSHA in their descriptive?
Yeah, it's tough. It is really tough. Yeah. So Star Wars obviously has a great history of seedy bars, cantinas, and whatnot. We've seen it from the classic cantina to Jabba's palace to Maz's castle to some places there in The Mandalorian, Episode 2. And so it's always a great opportunity to look at some aliens. So I thought we would just look at some of these aliens here. I certainly didn't notice. Nothing jumped out at me as aliens, familiar aliens. We didn't see Rhodians. I didn't see any Ithorians. These all looked very new, and they all looked. They still doing that fleshy thing. Although I would say that these aliens, design-wise, reminded me more of prequel aliens, but the coloring, the flesh tones, feels very sequel trilogy to me. Did any of these characters or designs jump out at you, Jim, looking back at some of them?
Well, it's interesting because I really enjoyed the very first alien they showed outside of the bar.
Oh, yeah. The little Jawa looking thing here.
Yeah. May bought information off of him. Yeah. Look at this guy. I love him. I couldn't believe it.
He's very Star Warsy.
He's just this weird alien begging for money, short, all black, with red goggled eyes. And what's that translucent bubble glob in his mouth? What the hell?
I thought he was blowing bubbles.
According to Wikipedia, in their description for this show, this is a Kubaz, which is the same species as Garindan, the Imperial informant that we see in Mos Eisley in A New Hope. Remember him? Yeah. And that's John Wayne's voice played over a shortwave radio to get that sound for Garindan, or do you call him Garandan? I've never heard his name said actually out loud. Garandan.
I always read it as Garandon. Garindan. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever. But and he's been released in action figure form many times, and he was just one of those freaks from the original Star Wars back in '77. But he didn't have a weird red glob out of his mouth. They wear that snooty thing.
Oh, yeah.
And so that must be covering up the weird red glob. I don't understand that.
Wikipedia is claiming that this is the same species as Garand.
Yes.
Oh, but without the snoot.
Maybe they got their information from StarWars.com. I didn't look at that website once the show dropped. So
maybe you get your snoot when you're older.
Yeah, you have to earn it.
You earn the snoot.
You have to. Yeah, it's like a bar mitzvah for snoot, and it's like, and now you become a Kubaz, and they screw the snoot. They screw it on you. And but I mean, we've seen the other Kubaz we've seen was in the first episode of The Mandalorian, season 1, the pilot episode. We see the fairy guy. He's like the commander. He calls for the taxi for Din by blowing a whistle, and that's
doesn't he end up being a snitch too?
I think he does.
Yeah,
they're all just rats. Naturally snitches. They all snitch.
The whole family's rats.
Yeah, this one with the weird translucent bubble glob on his nose. He squealed right. Where's the Jedi? And then here's some
this guy. He's got some horns there.
He looks very Star Wars.
I don't want to make too big of a deal of it. We've talked a lot, but just the peach kind of creamy color of these aliens, whereas, Greedo jumped right at you. He was bright green. Max Rebo was bright blue, They seem I guess they think they're going for maybe realism or something. I'm not quite sure, but I kind of like having some bold colors in my aliens, but
Right.
So there wasn't, other than, you're right that the little guy at the door with May, he certainly got my attention.
He was so cool.
But the rest of them, not so
No,
much.
there's a couple on board that prison ship that tickled my fancy a great deal.
The guy with the tongue that came out of his head, that guy was pretty cool. Tongue head.
I love that guy. You thought it was a tongue? I thought that was more like a tentacle that shot out of his.
Yeah, maybe.
But I like tongue better. Tongue makes it better.
It just seemed like it was like a lizard tongue that would shoot out,
That guy was a trip, man.
Yeah.
So some good aliens here. We're talking about them, and I think they're pretty damn cool. The new ones that we see in the Acolyte, and they feel like they fit into the Star Wars universe as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about the fight. We had the big fight scene. Jim, I think you called it a couple of weeks ago. You predicted that Carrie Ann Moss's character, Master Indara, would not survive the initial episode. She did.
Yeah, I think a lot of people had that vibe that she was going to be the Jedi that launches this investigation. Somebody's been killing Jedi.
Yeah,
she's the one.
Well, I haven't heard this much much outrage since the Max von Sydow fan club freaked out after The Force Awakens came out.
That's so funny you bring that. I was thinking about the exact same thing. Dead minutes upon the introduction of the character, dead. Yes, I was thinking that was the name that popped into my head.
And an actor of, some respect, he was Max von Sydow is a great actor, and Carrie Ann Moss has certainly gotten her chops, earned her chops through movies like The Matrix and things. So she's kind of an icon, and she gets cast in a Star Wars. And she's dead within minutes. But her death comes with getting information. It moves the plot along. And by casting Carrie Ann Moss, you know that this is a character of certain weight. So when May is able to take her out, that establishes that May is someone to be reckoned with. However, she doesn't really play fair. We see her sort of take advantage of Indara's, better angels as she throws the knife at the bartender, and then Kylo Ren style, Indara just stops it from entering the guy's skull, and that's when the second knife goes, and we see the end of Indara. So she really uses her good nature against her.
She wants to fight Indara without weapons.
Yes, this theme keeps coming back. Yeah,
it keeps coming back. And we learn later on it's to please the Sith Lord. He wants to see that as a way of her, I guess, earning his respect, or passing maybe this is like a Sith trial, much like the Jedi trials. The Sith have their own trials that you have to
He says, if you attack a Jedi with a weapon, you fail.
Yes. Yeah. And that also gets reiterated with the guy Kimir, who runs the apothecary / drugstore there on that planet. And
he runs the Rite Aid.
And it hasn't been revealed yet what his connection is to the Sith Lord. And, something I was thinking to myself, well, this guy seems like he knows a lot. He's sort of putting up a front. He said he was trying to fit in, and he's putting up a front, but I think he might even be like the apprentice to the Sith Lord.
Or certainly another acolyte, because May refers to the master as if he's the master of both of them. There's something in the conversation that I kind of walked away thinking that they were both in alignment with this master, but she's out risking her life while he's, running the drugstore.
When May leaves, she says, keep this on the down low from the Sith Lord, something along those lines.
Right.
And he's like, yeah, whatever. I don't know if he fully commits to that. And then he turns her into the Jedi.
Yeah.
And that's all part of, that's just part of the manipulation, and it might even be part of her trials as well.
Yeah, that's a good point. He's very quick, although, he's surrounded and he's captured by Jedi. But he does give her up. He doesn't seem to put up much of a fight. So, the whole Sith succession plan is taking somebody out, and at the Acolyte stage, this is what I can't quite figure out. Is Acolyte sort of the Sith version of Padawan? So before you actually become a Sith or a Sith apprentice, are you an Acolyte first, meaning like you're sort of a fan and you're trying to live the lifestyle before you actually become a member of the band? I don't know.
Right. Sort of like how Asajj Ventress served Dooku, similar in that vein.
Well, remember in the Gendy series when we first meet her, she's like, "I am Sith."
Right.
And he's like, "No, honey, you're not Sith." And then they have they have their fight. So she was trying to like claim that mantle.
Yeah.
And then Dooku's like, "No, I'll take you to school if you want to be Sith."
I think the totem pole goes Sith Lord on top, apprentice number 2, and then Acolyte number 3.
Yeah.
So it's just sort of a way of working your way up through the Sith ranks without being fully considered Sith, because they do have that rule of 2,
Right.
It's very possible you could consider Inquisitors to be Acolytes as well.
Yeah, I hadn't thought of that, because they're certainly not in the proper hierarchy. So Carrie-Anne Moss, Master Indara, she sort of kicks, as she dies, that she sort of kicks the whole mystery off, and then we meet Osha, and
before we meet Osha, can
yeah?
I just address
Sure.
some dialogue that goes on between Indara and May that I think builds on the mystery? And I think you're right. I think the mystery is what the Jedi did, what made them complicit in the events that went down on was it called Brendock? Brendock,
I think
yes. Is the name of the planet, Brendock. And so what went down there? That's the mystery that's being hidden from us as the audience members. And I think we get a little hint about what went down, because Indara says, Jedi do not attack the unarmed. And May says, yes, you do. Yeah, you do.
Right.
So there's something going on there where the Jedi may have used their powers to wipe out some unarmed people on Brendock, or there might be confusion about what went down on Brendock. But clearly May has a certain position, and her position is that Jedi attack the unarmed.
Well, yeah, and if you look at the second murder with Torben, she doesn't even have to kill him. He kills himself. He takes the poison. And, he says, I've been waiting for you. He's been meditating and in silence for a decade. We know that the events that happened on Brendock was 16 years ago. So at some point, he goes into some sort of meditation, maybe out of guilt, maybe out of for whatever reason. It seems to be linked to this, because he's not surprised when he comes out of his meditation that she's there.
Yeah.
And like I said, she doesn't even have to worry about killing him. He takes care of it himself.
Yes.
So it had to be something pretty bad. Pretty bad.
I think that's the first time we've seen anyone kill themselves in Star Wars.
Oh, yeah. Suicide. Star Wars suicide.
Well, Luke attempted it in Empire Strikes Back.
That's right.
When confronted by Vader and learning the truth, he chose death over facing Darth Vader. Luckily, the Force had other plans for him, and Luke got sucked into some vacuum tube on the side of the wall and sucked out to the bottom of the the thing. But yeah, I think we've never seen anybody like out and out kill themselves in Star Wars.
Yeah, it's pretty dark.
Yeah, that is dark. Master Torben took the Barash vow. And that's actually something that rang a bell with me the second it was uttered. It's from the Vader comics. The great run that Charles Soule had with that book in 2017. He introduced the Barash vow, and Vader confronted a Jedi who had taken the vow, and he fought him and everything. But it was an oath taken by Jedi to completely cut themselves off from everything in their lives except for the Force itself. And they commit themselves to gaining the greatest communication with the Force possible. And it can go on for years. With Torben, it went on for a decade. And it's something else that came up not only in the Vader books, but in one of the High Republic Marvel comics, the arc called The Blade, where you actually see the origin of the Barash vow as a Jedi takes it. And the reason, the reason Torben took it is he took the vow because he was searching for peace. It's all in the dialogue. He was searching for peace, but the past haunted him. And the past are the events on Brendok. That's the events that haunted him. He's got guilt for that. So May gives him a choice to admit his mistakes to the Jedi Council, which seemed very interesting. She's looking for some redemption, or I don't understand why she wanted him to admit what went down to the Jedi Council. She wanted him to face the past or take the easy way out via that vial of poison she had. And Torben accepted the poison. Before he takes it, though, he said, we thought we were doing the right thing, And so it's like, what's going on here? I mean, this guy wants to cover up the past so much that he shuts himself off from everything but the Force for a decade. And then as soon as he wakes up, he kills himself.
Yeah. So, yeah, the dialogue, you're right, it's all in there. She says, I offer you a choice. Confess your crime to the Jedi Council or receive the forgiveness you seek right here, right now from me. And that forgiveness comes by way of him killing himself. And if her goal is if it is part of some trial, Jim, to be able to take down a Jedi without a weapon, now what she's doing is she's using anger, fear, guilt, depression. She's using all of those things that Yoda warns us about in the original trilogy. She's using those as weapons. She's weaponizing their emotions, their unresolved feelings, and all of that stuff. So
back to the unfortunate topic of suicide. Which, I mean, I've been affected by it. By people. There's been a few people in my life who took that way out, and it stings, man. Does it sting? And I don't like talking about it, but I just wanted to keep hitting the hammer on the nail here because I got to thinking as I heard myself saying we've never seen anyone take their own lives before in Star Wars. I mean, it's true, Luke tried, and there was some implication that he was also trying to do that again in The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
But could you say that like Obi-Wan? Because, he sort of stepped in front of the freight train, and let himself be.
That's an interesting. I've never considered it suicide. What I considered it was sacrifice.
Sacrifice, okay. Sacrifice, but still, would he have made the sacrifice if he was unaware of the ability to become one with the Force and return as a ghost?
That's a good question. So, if you knew for sure that there was an afterlife, how much of a sacrifice is it? if you're living on gold paved streets in a mansion, you know? That's a really good question. I've never thought of it. I've just always assumed it was a sacrifice, and a way for him. For him, I think he believed that his corporeal mission as a physical being was over. He had watched over the boy. He got the boy on his hero's journey, on his quest, and to take him to his next steps, he needed to transcend. So I wouldn't say that it was all plotted out or all thought out by Kenobi, but he took advantage of the situation, or maybe made the best decision he could in that moment. Suicide. Wow. I mean, like I say, it's a really good question. Real good question.
Yeah. And it's a difficult topic. And I just want to say to our listeners, if you are struggling, there's always help available for you. All you have to do is call 988, and there are people there who can help you out 24/7. It's the worst way to go. I mean, because you leave behind all the people you love, and believe me, those people love you.
Yeah.
All right. So I want to talk about this more. I really,
no, that's important stuff in our own, I've experienced this sort of thing in my family, and the Star Wars community, fan community has experienced it as well. And so, yeah, it's good. Get help. It's never that bad.
No, never.
So overall, if we were to sort of summarize what we know, and Jim, this was my little note that I took to myself, and you tell me, you correct what I got here. This is me trying to summarize sort of the crux of this, is that 16 years ago, Osha and May are twins.
Yes.
4 Jedi happen upon them as May allegedly sets fire to her home, killing her parents and herself, so they thought. Saul is taken by Osha's abilities, the other sister, and then takes her to Coruscant and trains her as a Jedi. She leaves the Order some 10 years later. It's confirmed that she's been away for 6 years in the dialogue. So for some reason, she leaves the Jedi Order. Now May has returned to exact revenge as an acolyte of the Sith. So that kind of sets it all up here. But my question is, revenge for what? What is May seeking vengeance for? Is it for them taking Osha away from her? Is it from them leaving her with the blame? Was she set up by the Jedi? Someone in the chat, and I feel bad. I wish I would have marked it, darn it. But someone in the chat suggested that maybe there was a sense from the Jedi that there was evil in May, and that, not that they killed her, but maybe they didn't work as hard to save her as they did with Osha. So there might have been something going on like that. They made a judgment call and let the child perish, perhaps. So what is the revenge what is the grievance that May has with the Jedi specifically?
Yeah, that's all part of the mystery.
Right.
And wait for next week. Or the week after, or the week after that. Sooner or later, they'll reveal what went down. You can speculate all you want. I like to think of the Jedi discovered her at 8 years old, and the Jedi Council said, no, she's too old to be trained. But they relented and said, okay, we'll take her in. And so May took exception to that. She didn't want to be separated from her twin. And maybe she felt upset about that. No, May.
Oh, wait a minute. You're suggesting that May was initially the one that was being recruited by the Jedi.
No. Osha was.
But
the Jedi were going to take her from the family.
Okay.
And May did not appreciate that.
Okay.
She wanted her sister to stick around. She didn't want to be separated from her sister.
Okay.
So she acted out, maybe tried to set fire to the Jedi ship or something, who knows? And then the fire spread and ended up killing her family. May escaped, but she's thought to be dead. And also it's more than that though, because from the dialogue, it seems like Master Soul and Osha saw a body. They were convinced May had passed away. And they're just as shocked as anyone because they thought they saw it with their own two eyes. And that's not the case. That's my speculation. It could be right, could be wrong, whatever. I'm not looking for spoilers, nor have Jason and I been given the first 4 episodes. Yeah, the show you're looking for is called The Book of the Shills.
That the person that hypothesized this that I was talking about, that was Lauren, and Lauren likes your theory, Jimmy.
Thanks,
as she
Lauren.
says in the chat. So she was the one that was coming up with that idea. Okay, we got some super chats we want to get to here. So let's do that. We got Calvin McPherson says, love it. Can't wait to binge it when it's done. Like watching Fight Club for the second time and knowing the ending. Will Jason's opinion of Wookiee Jedis change next week? I think there's a chance. I don't know. I saw him, doing his Wookiee stuff at the end of the second episode, and he just wasn't very Jedi-like for me. We'll see.
Use the Force pull. He was both. He was the best of Wookiees and Jedi. He used the Force pull to grab that blaster, and then he snapped it in half because he's a Wookiee.
Yeah, there he is, ripping the blaster in half. Yeah, with his top knot. It's possible. I may change my tune on that, Calvin. I very well may. But thanks for the super chat. Very kind of you. Our buddy Eric from Phoenix says, mild thumbs up. What I liked, May, Osha, actress was great. Saul, Jeckie, spaceships, fight scenes. I didn't think they would fit, but they did. Music, a couple of great callbacks to prequel music. Yeah, very much so. Yeah, the music from what's his name? Michael Abels. Good stuff.
He did a great job.
Yeah,
great
Nemoidians
job.
and droids. Yeah, Nemoidians and droids, and the Nemoidians. They got new accents, Jim. They're no longer inappropriate. The Nemoidians. It was all right. I mean, they basically just took the Nemoidian shtick and just kind of filed the edges of the blade off a little bit. It wasn't a huge departure. There was still sort of a stilted, but it wasn't what did you say?
One of them sounded like,
damn.
One of them sounded like Ken Jeong, from The Hangover. I thought.
Really?
I thought the main one kind of did. I was like, well, they got Ken Jeong. That's cool. Okay.
All right.
But
Tanya
no,
says,
it was
sorry.
Tony.
It was cool to see the Nemoidians. That's the first live action Nemoidian that we've seen since the prequel. So I did really enjoy that. I thought that was
on
really
the
fun.
Bridge too. They were
Right.
on the bridge, and I kind of geeked when they revealed that.
Yeah, it was cool. Let me see if I can get a shot of them. Guys, I got like 150 screenshots here. But,
awesome.
So I'm trying to wade through them all. I think this is, here we go. This is a good shot of the Nemoidians.
I love Nemoidians.
With the pauldrons there. He's got, they're very, they're regal in their appearance. They have those high hats and the robes and all of that. So they always have the appearance of royalty or something along those lines. But certainly haven't missed a beat. I mean, that's a Nemoidian right there. They didn't take any liberties with the design of the faces of the characters, the way the mouths move, all of that. So a little variant on the voice, but we know that was mired in all kinds of controversy. I wonder what George was. We're talking about their aliens. Ridiculous.
They gotta sound like somebody. I mean, that is true when you think
it is true. Of course,
they gotta sound like somebody.
Well, okay, so here's the thing. Like, George used earthly terrain, different types of environments, desert, snow, forest, okay, earthly to sort of create the galaxy far, far away. And so he also used accents from around the world to populate the planet. So I don't think there was absolutely anything malicious in it. Were they bad guys? Yes. Did they have accents that were reminiscent? Yes. But I don't think he was like, yeah, I'm going to really just show the world what a bunch of nasty people Asians are. Like it wasn't George's intent, just ridiculous.
Well, I think modern Lucasfilm missed a great opportunity here to offend an entirely different group, an entirely different cultural group. They could have used Italian,
Sure.
Hey, what are you doing? Making it jump with the light, the speed, huh?
Totally over the top stereotype.
Yeah. The Jedi are coming. Forget about it.
They're going to make a pizza pie.
Yeah, just go for the most stereotypical, and then just work your way around the globe,
Right.
Next appearance from the Nemoidians could be a bunch of drunk Irish people,
Right, yeah.
Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are calling.
Sure, you could make all of the cantina bartenders Irish. Oh my God.
Let's
so
offend
funny.
everyone around the world with Nemoidians.
Right. Yeah, every time the Nemoidians appear, they're a different nationality stereotype. All right, here's Tanya. She says, sorry, I can't make it to the show tonight. I did enjoy the first 2 episodes. Looking forward to hearing everyone's theories on the identity of May's master. Yeah, we haven't even gotten into that. We'll talk about who the Sith Biggin might be. Let's see. $20. Eric from Phoenix. He's spending $20 to tell us what he didn't like. Okay, so we heard what he liked. Okay, so this is a 2-parter, gang. So we know what he liked. Here's what he didn't like. Creatures and aliens. Ugh. Okay, we're talking about the creatures and the aliens. Shirtless scene didn't need to be there. Well, that depends on who you ask, Eric.
Yeah, right. Right. I mean, my God, that was
Charlie Barnett showing off pecs and abs there.
Yeah. Let me just say that was some serious beefcake. And Kathleen Kennedy recently said that it's a no-brainer for her to make Star Wars stories for everyone. It appeals to everyone. So, okay, we got our topless Jedi, dude.
Yeah.
I fully expect to see a female Jedi in a metal bikini in an upcoming episode if she's really making Star Wars stories for everyone.
Yes. Let's have it.
We got our Kylo Ren beefcake in the sequels.
That's what it reminded me of. Was him
they put
the high pants.
Yeah, right. Well, yes. Remember that the Kylo Ren challenge?
Yeah. Jimmy Mack took that challenge, if I recall.
I did. I looked good too. I think John Mayer started that, by the way. Crazy. But I want to see a metal bikini because you guys are getting the beefcake now. We have to make sure there's balance in the Force, and we got to make it happen, Captain. Yes.
Okay, I do agree with Eric on the next point. The beefcake was fine. He was steaming his cloak. That was a little much. That was a little. He's doing laundry. Do we need to see Jedi doing laundry? Come on.
That's pretty mundane. That's pretty.
It really is.
When you reach the level of Jedi Knight, someone else is pressing your cloak for you.
So.
That's a little ridiculous. That is a little, but maybe the Jedi of this era are a little more hands-on, It's like, Master Saul was just, changing the oil in his land speeder. And
So Ferengi Padawan. Now, I'm not sure which one he's referring to. I do have a couple of shots of the Padawans that we see. I need a close-up of her. She's got sort of the big ears. I think I got it right here. This is it. This gal. The big ears.
Ferengi. I get okay. Now I kind of see it. If you sort of block out the horns on her head, the ears are too pointed, but those are big ears. You know how I am about. Maybe that's the beefcake for the male audience. Big ears.
I don't think I have her on my On my
topless
cheat
Jedi
sheet.
and girls with big ears.
Is that Tassi Loa?
Yes, that's Tassi.
Oh, okay.
Tassi
All
Loa.
right. I'm just
She was
going to
teamed
write
up with
Ferengi girl.
Yeah, she was. Yeah, I'm going to put that in parentheses on my notes too. Yeah, she was teamed up with Yord Fondar when they visited that Nemoidian ship.
But his Padawan is Olega, right?
Oh, his Padawan is Olega.
Isn't his Padawan this gal right here?
No, Olega. Is that
Olega?
Oh no. Yeah, her name is Jeki Lon, I think. Jeki.
Oh, you're right. My bad.
I think Olega is the name of the planet. That was the name of the last planet.
No, Olega. Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
Oleda.
You know what I'm looking at? The character name is Olega Urchin. And I'm like, who was Olega Urchin? That sounds like a Star Wars name. She means urchin, as in the little girl that was paid off by.
Yes. That's where that Jedi temple was, where Master Corbin was meditating.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So this is, Star Wars names. I'm like, Olega Urchin. Yes, I love that character. Anyway, so this is Daphne Keene who plays Jeki. So Eric was saying that he didn't really like this gal right here. And then loved the floating Jedi, but worst beard since Obi-Wan in the elevator scene in Attack of the Clones, which we know was a pickup shoot.
you got another supporter there for you. Again, it's like what did Harrison Ford say about Star Wars? Luke said something about their hair, and Harrison said, if they're looking at your hair, we're in big trouble. That's how I sort of felt like looking at him. I couldn't make it past the weird eye and the scars. I just want to know more, because that sort of appearance gives the character instant history, and I always want to know more.
Yeah. Did we share Tanya's here? I think we did. We did. We got Tanya. Sorry. Okay. We should definitely start getting to the phones. There's so much to talk about. It's 2 episodes. Fear not. There's a lot more RFR after show that's going to be coming. So let's start with, we've got a brand new call. Oh no, they hung up. How dare they? Well, I know someone who didn't hang up, and that is a little late on the volume there.
Good.
Bad. Sorry.
Let's hear from Blake.
Blake, how you doing, buddy?
Hey,
Shut, my man.
Kid Blake.
I'm doing good.
Good. All
How
right.
about you guys?
Yeah, doing real well. We're here with a whole new Star Wars series. And Blake, we know that your blood runs red with the dark side. There's no doubting that. You're a self-professed acolyte yourself. What are you thinking about this show that is the first Star Wars series that sort of takes the storytelling from the point of view of the bad guys, of the Sith? Though I don't know if that's really shown up yet in this 2-part. But anyway, that's what they claimed it was going to do.
I feel like this show, it can be really good. It's slowly getting there. There were points where it was a bit slow. Wasn't much happening. But
like what point?
But then after like a minute or so, then it copped right back up.
Where did it drag for you, Blake? Is there a particular lull point for you?
Is there a what? Sorry?
Oh, just a point where it lulled for you. You said that it kind of dragged in places. Anything sort of jump out at you?
You mean like parts I like?
No, parts where you said that it was slow. And I'm just curious what parts of it that you felt were slow, because it was establishing a lot of character stuff. So it was a pretty dialogue heavy. I've got transcripts printed out. Pretty dialogue heavy episodes. They're establishing place, character, situations, all of that. So was that what you found slow? Was it the lack of, because there wasn't a lot of, there were two big fight scenes, one at the beginning and then one towards the end. And that was pretty much it across 110, 100, whatever minutes of Star Wars storytelling, or 70 some minutes of Star Wars storytelling.
Yeah, it was kind of the scenes where they just talk and talk and talk, and they just kept on talking. I just really wanted to see something that was happening.
You know what? I said the same thing about the Battlestar Galactica reboot when that first launched. I was like, oh, God, all they do is sit around and talk and talk and talk and talk. Where are the Cylons? So tell us, what did you like about it? What stood out to you? Did you have a favorite scene, a favorite character?
There were like 3 or 4, I guess you can count them as characters that I liked. I really liked the droid that turned into a seat. I found that kind of funny.
That was cool.
We were watching.
That was great.
That was pretty cool. The seat droid.
Yeah. Yes. Droids that can drive the ship until you don't need them to anymore because you want to drive them and sit on them while you're driving the ship. Yes. I thought that was really a very original look for Star Wars.
It was very clever. Very clever. Who else jumped out at you, Blake?
Jason, I know you do not like the Wookiee Jedis. We figured that out in Bad Batch and everything. But I think this one...
They're monkeys!
Pretty cool.
What?
Come on, the Wookiees are just apes. They're just monkeys.
What did you just say? How dare you?
I said the Wookiees are monkeys.
Dare you?
They're not
monkeys. They're not monkeys.
They're monkeys.
They're not. They're
in
dogs.
The 50s,
they're dogs. They're not monkeys.
Well, in the 50s,
in the 50s,
they trained monkeys to fly spaceships. So there you go. They can fly a spaceship, but I just don't see them as being intellectual enough to be able to have a super high metaphysical understanding.
You think Chewbacca's a dummy?
Well, relatively speaking, I mean, I just don't see that being his calling. I don't see him being as sophisticated as a thinker as Yoda or Obi-Wan Kenobi. I know this is going to get me into trouble. These creatures don't even exist.
You're going to get in trouble with me. That's who you're going to be in trouble with is me. But no, I mean, the Force works in mysterious ways,
Oh,
and it
come
affects
on.
all walks of life.
Yeah.
Me, the tree, the rock, everywhere.
Yeah, well, you know what? Star Wars High Republic has given us a Jedi rock. So clearly anything goes.
All right, okay. You're going to have to play that card. All right. I can't fight against that kind of logic.
It's a tough one. Who else? So you liked Kelnaka, Blake? You excited to see more of him?
Which one's Kelnaka?
That's the Wookiee that you were just about to scold me about.
Oh. Okay, I didn't even know his name.
Yeah.
But he seems like he'll be a cool character.
Yeah.
I like where he grabbed the blaster, snapped it in half, and then scared them off, and then went into looks kind of like an Imperial bunker-ish. Like from Return of the Jedi.
Oh, yeah. He's living in a... Yeah, right. It's a crash ship.
A down ship.
That was pretty cool.
Ship?
Yeah. See if I got a picture of that. Yeah, because here I've got I've got a shot of the subtitles for these two that come upon it. They go, a crash ship, and they think they're going to get like a hyperdrive or something off of it until Kelnaka comes home and finds these people about to raid his home. His home. This is. Here's a shot of the house.
Wow, look at
It's
that.
a down ship, and it looks like that it's been overtaken by, growth, trees and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Strange.
I know that Chewie fixes space tech. Go ahead and watch YouTube documentaries about chimps in space. They fix ships too. I had to respond to one of our texters.
Hydrospanner? Do they use hydrospan? Your chimps in space. Chimps in space.
I watched Lancelot Link. All right, Blake. Okay, before we let you go, give us one theory. Where do you think this show's headed? What can we expect?
I think that the Wookiee is definitely gonna play a part. They leave you off on the Wookiee. Second episode at the very end. That's the big cliffhanger.
Yeah,
So
he's
once
going to
they
play a
leave
part.
you on
There's going to be parts of him all over that jungle when May gets done with him. She's 2 for 2. He's the third one that she's going to be going after. She's been able to wipe out the other 2.
Go 3 for 3.
You don't think?
No, he's gonna rip her arms out.
I do not think so. I feel like the Wookiee will stand a fight.
Yeah, well, Indara thought so. Now you can't really give it. Torben, he took the potion. He took door number 2. But yeah, we'll see.
I like that dude.
You like that dude? Torben?
I do.
Well,
I like
with
Torben
the shield around him.
Yeah, no, that was cool. No, it was a very cool concept. Yeah, it was a very cool concept, and I love the idea of a Jedi giving themselves over to whatever that oath was that they took, or
Barrage vow.
Yeah. All right, Blake. Hey, buddy. Thanks, and happy summer to you. So we don't have to get the little note from Tyler about your early bedtime since it's summer. You're out of school. You can stay up late with Rebel Force Radio, right?
Technically, yes. I do have summer school, but it really don't matter.
Yeah, summer school.
It matters.
What is it, summer gym?
Basically. We're just in the gym, basically, all day, basically.
Oh, okay. All right. Yes, it doesn't count. All right, buddy.
I had to take summer school at gym. I had to do PE for summer school because I blew off the classes all the time.
Oh, sorry, wrong button. I took summer gym. Not because I blew off regular gym, but I hated regular gym so much that I would have done anything to not have to. If you're not an athletic person, and this may come as a big surprise to many of you, I'm not. And gym class is not very friendly to those who are athletically challenged, which I was. I would have done anything to get out of it.
I would have loved to have been in your high school class and shared gym class with you, because I would snap you with that towel so hard you'd still have a scar to this day.
I was the one that was always going to the gym teacher going, what are we doing here? What is this? Why is this part of what am I learning?
Why are we running so much? We're not getting anywhere. We're still here.
Always questioning what's the goal? What are we trying to do? Okay. Let's see. Let's go. Oh, David from Boston has he comes with
guys.
friends. Hey, David
Hey.
from Boston and friends. Hello.
Yeah.
Wow, he's got a whole group of people.
A rager
We have
going on.
Scott from St. Louis. We have Brian Egan. We have Dan from Boston, and David from Lowell, and another David from Boston were supposed to be here tonight but couldn't make it because of things going on with their children.
Oh, okay.
Or
All right. Well, you got
children.
the whole
Yes.
gang,
But-
Minnie.
So we're having this great thing, so we're enjoying it. And I'll give you my first takes right away.
Yeah, please.
I enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think it was. I tried to stay away from the smorgasbord of internet hate.
Yep.
And one thing I found that my nitpicks. I found the dialogue to be a little comic booky. It didn't like sting the way like Tony Gilroy's dialogue did.
Yep.
And
I agree with you there. Dialogue was not my favorite. Parts of it.
It
Yep.
was interesting. Blake thought it was slow, and I thought there could have been. I found the editing to be a little choppy. That it didn't have the fluid camera work we've seen so much from other shows. But other than that, I'm happy. The Soul character, he seems to have the spirit of Qui-Gon in him.
Oh, very Qui-Gon. Yes.
I have a Jedi that I can root for. Well, one thing we were talking about the internet trolls, maybe May's blades have poison on them before she throws them at people. Because they're like,
That would make
knives
sense.
shouldn't kill people when everyone gets hit by a lightsaber now and lives.
So a lightsaber in the gut is survivable, whereas a metal blade to the chest, not so
Instant
much.
death. Instant death.
Literally instant death. Yeah, right.
And I'm so tired of hearing people say, "Well, they're missing the major organs when they get stabbed in the stomach." I don't care, because the magnitude of the temperature of the blade within any part of your body will melt those major organs, even if they don't even connect to it. But that's just my theory on it. I nothing disgusts me more in the Disney era. Nothing disgusts me more than the way the trivial nature in which they treat lightsaber wounds, gut stabs that should kill anyone.
Well, wait, okay? I just remembered this. Wasn't there a thing about a Jedi never takes out his lightsaber or whatever? But
Yes.
yet one of them uses it as a flashlight in the cave. So I thought that was a little weak.
No, I mean, all right. So it's something that May says to Indara, where she says,
but
the Jedi does not reveal the lightsaber unless they're willing. They want to kill, and
Oh yeah, right. And then you see him using it as a torch.
yeah, you see it. Yeah, it gets used as a flashlight. But I mean, in those
and that
instances,
scene was reminiscent of The Fugitive.
Oh, when she's standing there I thought that from the trailer. Yeah, she's standing there in the snowy, in the cave, about to do Peter Pan right off, as Tommy Lee Jones said.
But other than that, I'm giving it. I gotta say, I enjoyed it. So I didn't think it was horrible. I didn't think. I mean, look, it's anytime we get Star Wars, it's awesome, right?
Yeah, there was nothing categorically, in my opinion, there was nothing categorically horrible about it. I think there were, like anyone else, I've got my nitpicks. I would venture to say, story-wise, if we look at the story that they're telling,
yes,
this is one of the most interesting stories that we've had. When you think, look at the Book of Boba Fett and the Major Daimyo. That was a lame story. There really wasn't even a story to it. There were elements, of the Boba Fett, Book of Boba Fett, like his time with the Tuskens and stuff that were
that
cool.
was good stuff. That was the good stuff.
Yes, that was the good stuff.
The Daimyo stuff did fall short. I agree with you, Jason.
Yeah, very much. So this is a mystery to some degree, and it's showing a different side of the Jedi, certainly. So, story-wise, I've got a lot of respect for it. There's some nitpicks and there's some things I wasn't real keen on. Some of the dialogue I don't like when it's self-reverential, like when I didn't even like it. To be honest with you, I didn't even like it in episode 1 when Watto says, "What do you think you're a Jedi, waving your hand around like that?" And there was another kind of joke about that. I just don't like those becoming in-universe tropes. Like, "Oh, Superman, what are you going to do? Fly away?" Well, yeah, I'm Superman. That's what I do. I don't need anybody to draw attention to it necessarily. So anyway, I'm sorry. This is your time, Dave. Who else is there that wants to sound off?
Nope.
You're hogging the mic.
I was just going to say one thing, and I noticed I don't know if they want to talk the music. I didn't I didn't find it to be memorable like the Kiner score. I can't hear any of the music in my head, but I mean, these guys kind of disagree with me. But I'm passing the torch.
Pass the torch.
Brian wants to talk about.
All right, well, we'll hear from him.
Oh, no.
One thing that was noticeably missing from the soundtrack were any distinguishable themes for the characters, and that's a Star Wars hallmark. Is the character themes. I did not note any for any of them.
It
And that is
created good atmosphere. But you're right. There was nothing hummable or memorable. I totally agree.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, Kevin Kiner really took the baton from John Williams and developed themes for the characters. Like Ahsoka's theme was distinguishable from the debut of the Clone Wars in the Clone Wars movie before the television series even started. But in this show, I couldn't pick out any distinctive themes for any characters.
Who we talking to now?
Who's it?
Well, this is Egan, Brian Egan. I met you guys in Bristol.
Hey, Brian.
Hey, nice to hear
you. I was with Scott from St. Louis. But, yeah, like just quick on it. Like what I love about this, what I was looking forward to about this was, unlike Ahsoka and a lot of the other shows, there was no real build up to like who's going to be in it, what are we going to see, where are they going to take it? It was just a new story I got to I got to take in, and I really, really, I like the story so far, and I can't wait to watch it move forward. The only criticism I have right now is with that amount of money, you got to make the Wookiee look better, man. He looks like the Jack Link beef jerky guy. But that's it.
Wait, what?
So, but I'm gonna. The Wookiee looks like
Sasquatch?
a Jack Link beef jerky commercial. It's like they brought him in. They were like, hey, can you do this show? Like, we got this show too in between your commercials. Like, yeah, it was pretty bad. It was bad.
What are you talking about? He looked fine.
But I mean,
what are you talking about? He looked fine. What's your problem? He looked like a Wookiee. What do you want him to look like? What do you want him to look like? What are they missing here? Come on. Get out of here. He's a Wookiee. He's 100% Wookiee. You're going to sit here and nitpick a Wookiee?
It's the only criticism I have, and this is what I got to get. This is what I got to get.
Come on. He was in, and also he was in the shadows.
This is a welcome to the show I got right here.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right. All opinions welcomed and equally ridiculed right here.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
No. I like the show, and I'm staying positive. I love the story. I'm looking forward to seeing the next episodes, and now I'm giving you to Scott.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it.
I don't want to hear any more judgment calls on how the Wookiee looks. Let's try to talk story here, guys.
I have nothing bad to say about Wookiees.
I
love the Wookiees. They're beautiful. Stop. Your time's up.
They're beautiful people.
All right. I'm just going to say, hey, we got all four of us here in my house. It's an after-show watch party. You guys made this happen. My thanks to you. We wouldn't be here without you. And we're raising our red milk instead of the blue milk. We call it the Bleeding Kyber. It is delicious. So, all right. Thanks for the after show. It's a great job. Can't wait to rest.
Oh,
send me the
great.
recipe.
Thank you.
Send me the recipe for the Bleeding Kyber. I want to get on board with this stuff. He's got the blue milk. He's got the Bleeding Kyber.
It's a flight of Boston to get it.
We'll have to make sure this is a Patreon only. You should be subscribing at the Patreon All Access or RFR or above. Anyway, I'm going to give you the box again. Hey, thanks, guys.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Some of the heavy lifting for us.
Hey, guys, I just want to make a quick comment. I like the costumes that they had on the episodes. What really pointed out was the high-waisted belts, the leather belts that they had. It looks really cool. The costume for Maid, it looks like a really cool like ninja, and the style that they had for her was very ninja-like. With throwing the knives, and also the forced push to when she splashed all the sand to get away from the other Jedi.
Oh yeah, that was
really
cool.
Yeah.
Now all I can see are the high-waisted belts. Yeah. Okay.
I
high rise.
I cheered. Would she use the force? Would she use the force to lift up all of that dirt and create the dust cloud to escape?
Yeah.
I cheered in the theater when I saw it the first time. I thought that was just great.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice touch. You know, something that it was a little bit close to reality, but something that we both, that we all were familiar with. That
Oh yeah,
all
close
thought
to
was really
reality.
cool.
Because
Really
I'm always with
neat way
people
to
who are
escape.
dragging dirt up off the ground with their mental abilities to create a dust cloud. Very close to reality. Yeah, you're right. That happens to me every day.
Well, something you've seen on other movies and things like that. That's what
I
was
guess
trying to
so.
point out.
I guess so. Yeah, maybe it is something. You know, somebody said to me also today, and let me take your temperature on this. It's like, the evil twin trope is being revealed in yet another TV show, or another movie. Do you think the evil twin thing has been overplayed and maybe it's being used one too many times?
Only in soap
storytelling?
operas.
Oh, soap operas is
Yeah, but
Yeah,
you
right,
don't see
right.
it too often happen in the Star Wars universe. So
No, I guess we haven't had the evil
new to the
twin.
genre pop.
Yeah, I guess we
You know,
have.
so
Have
I-
we
you know,
had
it's kind of
anybody
a-
do that? No, I don't think so.
No,
I don't think
mean,
we've ever had that. Yeah.
besides doing the expanded universe with Luke and Dark Forces, but that's
You mean Dark
that's
Empire?
like the only time we actually. Dark Empire. I'm sorry, Dark Empire. So yeah, that's the only time that I actually remember something
Or
like
Heir
that.
to the Empire. Well, in the Thrawn trilogy, there was the clone of Luke, but that wasn't like really being
Yeah, that's
used
a
as.
clone, though. It's not.
Yeah. There's a lot of clones in Star Wars, but you're right. I don't think we've ever seen the old evil twin trope being played. So, hey, why
but
not?
It is deeply mythological. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
if
Oh,
we'll-
it is. It is.
Yeah,
Yes.
It goes all the way back to, I mean, you can find it in Navajo, obviously Greek mythology, Roman mythology. It's in Christianity. So there, the idea of the duality of the good and the evil twin certainly has been around for a long time. So I would say, yeah, is it a trope?
Definitely the Campbell theory.
Yeah, it's classical. It's a classical trope, and Star Wars is nothing but classical mythological tropes.
There you go. Well, I guess you just put that to bed.
Yeah.
Who
Who else is there in the party house?
Oh, that's it.
That's it?
You spoke to everyone.
All right,
Hey, listen,
well, guys, thank you
that's
so
it.
No,
much.
take the phone outside, grab a random stranger, and ask them if they've seen the Acolyte. Can you do that? Run outside right now. Whoever's walking by, just say, "Hey, we're on live with Rebel Force Radio." Have you seen the Acolyte?
Get their opinion.
Yeah.
All right. Well, you guys have a
thank you
great
very
time.
much.
Great to hear from you. Have a good night. Thanks, guys. That means a lot. Thank you very much. That's
Those
awesome.
guys are awesome. But I was serious. I wanted them to go outside and grab somebody.
That happened to us, Jim. Remember, you, me, Billy Mack, were sitting in the streets of Cleveland, and just after we had watched Solo, I believe. I think it was Solo Rises in Ohio, and we had that. What do you call that? You don't call them homeless anymore. That's not appropriate. You call them unhoused persons. I think this was an unhoused person who walked by, and we. He's like, what are y'all doing?
He was definitely residence. What's the word I'm looking for? Residence deficient. Yeah, he had a residence deficiency, and he just wanted to smoke. For me,
That's right.
I don't smoke,
But
so we figured, well, we just get his review about Star Wars, and I think he gave us I gave him a beer. So then
that's
the
right.
next thing, Then the next thing you knew, there was like 50 guys standing around watching us doing that podcast, waiting for the beer line.
Right. All right, let's go to John, Patreon from New York. John, you're on with Rebel Force Radio. Hello,
Johnny.
Hey guys, Chut. This is John from New York.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey, great. Awesome. I was able to take my phone off hands-free as soon as you because
good.
I'm
Thank
walking
you
around
for
my
doing
apartment.
that, by the
and
way.
I know you guys don't like hands-free, so I got
It's
to
not
my
a
phone
question
again.
of
But hey,
don't
listen,
like.
I
It's
wanted
better
to say-
sound quality. It's better sound quality. And I'm just saying this
no,
for
of course,
everyone
of course,
who's
absolutely.
listening. and wants to call in, it is better sound quality if you treat it like a traditional phone call and not do the hands-free business. And even like earpods don't work as well as the good old-fashioned holding the phone up to your face. So I thank you very much for doing that, John.
Yeah. Oh no, of course. And I look, listen, I love you guys. Actually, I live in New York City, and I had plans to try to make it to Bristol, but they didn't. They fell through, unfortunately. I got a dog walker and dog sitter, all that stuff, and yeah. But hey, you know what? That's life, and that's okay. But hey, listen, I'm still a Patreon member of Rebel Force Radio, and I still give you guys a like, even when you guys do the after shows. By the way, everybody, if you're listening right now on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button right now.
Please.
You do it. You know you want.
We've got over 300 listening right now, and we've only got 100 likes. So we've got 2 down. Oh, there's 2 people who gave us the thumbs down.
Well, Billy Mack and my wife are listening, so that that explains that.
Good stuff.
All right, John, what'd you think?
I didn't make it, but
what'd you think of the show?
Well, you know what? I thought it was fine. I thought it was great. In fact, I think it's probably one of the better entries in the Disney TV shows. Better than Kenobi, better than what's the other one? Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And probably right alongside Andor and season 1 and 2 Boba Fett. And as far as like, a lot of the conversation, the whole, raw, angry, woke, blah, like that conversation, I didn't see it. I saw none of that in this. Like, someone told me, one of my friends in my Old Republic, my Star Wars The Old Republic Game Guild, they told me that apparently that there's a moment where Jedi Master Saul was talking about the fire that happened with Osha and May, that they had referred to their quote unquote 2 moms and sisters. But I mean, I didn't catch that. I missed it, but I wasn't looking for it. Like, and I think that's like kind of like, and I apologize if you hear background noise. My windows are open. It is hot. I live in New York. So if you hear any background noise, I apologize.
It's actually pretty quiet for a night in New York City. Right. There was that. I mean, look,
I want to yell outside the window.
Look.
Oh yeah, like Norton and Ralph Cramden there in New York City, yelling out the window.
Yeah. So look, if there are those that hearing that throwaway line makes them feel better, makes them feel more included in the Star Wars fandom, so be it. I heard it.
I just feel like sometimes people are looking for it.
They are looking for it. Yes, they are looking for it. And I turn off. Look, I've learned a long time ago, but long before all of this woke business, that I don't listen to music. I don't watch movies or TV shows to have my personal politics or social views affirmed. I don't do that. That's not the point of it. If I want to hear that, I'll listen to various talk radio or whatever. So that's not the point. I do think, and I will say this: anyone who says that this cast was not deliberately diverse is being dishonest. Okay, this was this cast was assembled by what's the word I want to use? It was purposeful. Okay, now if you have a problem with that, fine. Okay, but it is what it is. It is the cast. So I'm not going to sit here and talk about whether or not someone who is appropriately cast or misappropriately cast.
Right, Jason? They did a good job.
Yeah, I wasn't gaga about
They did a good job.
I wasn't crazy about what's her name, the green woman.
Vanessa Rowe.
Yeah, I wasn't. Yeah. I wasn't.
came off
I
a little
didn't love her.
unlikable, but I don't think she won the job because she was green skinned.
No,
That's just a
no.
coincidence. I really
Right.
believe that's just a coincidence. Yeah,
Right.
They didn't say we have to get a green skinned woman to fill this role.
No,
She
no,
just happened
not
to
at
have
all.
green skin. That's all. That's
Right.
all.
Right.
But
The-
there is
so
It wasn't great.
all I
It
want
wasn't
is
great.
all I want is transparency and honesty. And yes, just say, look, we're out to cast the widest net in terms of visual representation as possible. Fine, go ahead. It's obvious, but I don't like when people play these little semantic games of like we're not supposed to notice that just noticing this that there's something wrong with me that I noticed it. That's crazy. That's gaslighting. I don't want to hear it. It's a very diverse cast. It was done on purpose. Let's move on. Stop pretending that it wasn't.
Well, I mean, who's pretending it wasn't? I think a lot of
I said the comments of people like that they shame you in even noticing it. They shame you in even noticing it.
Oh,
I see it
I think
online.
it's meant to be noticed, you know? I mean, isn't that the whole point for it to be noticed? You know, look, it's a diverse
on who
game.
you ask.
There's a lot of people
if
who
I can
feel
interject
representation in the show. I mean, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing at all, and nor is it anything that measures in my review or enjoyment of these shows. The last thing I'm looking at is skin color, and I've seen a lot of people yell and scream online about how they're this is what like they're ticking off some boxes on a list to make sure that all this representation happens, and they say it's woke, and they say don't stick your politics in my Star Wars. But I think just having that conversation in itself is injecting politics in Star Wars instead of just watching the show and evaluating the story and determining whether the characters are likable or
that's
not
exactly
likable.
what I'm saying. But I'm just saying that it goes both ways. It goes both ways. So,
So does a lot of the cast. A lot of members of the cast go both ways. I mean, what do you want me to say?
Enough of that. John. Okay, I have a note here that says that you don't trust Yord Fondar or OSHA. Tell us more about that.
Ooh,
interesting. So I don't. So my mind might be changing about Yord. I sort of starting to see him as sort of like any of you guys familiar with D&D? I know that Jimmy's a little bit more.
No, I'm not a
days.
nerd, John.
I'm a super nerd.
Oh, okay.
D&D, I know a little bit about it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Do we need to call Kyle Newman? He's our D&D expert.
Yeah.
All right. So Yord is lawful good. So it's an alignment. There's like in D&D, there's an alignment chart. Lawful good, chaotic neutral. It goes on and on and on. I won't go into details. But Yord is he's very much the paladin. He's very much the guy. He's like, I'm gonna save the princess, and I'm the good guy, and I'm going by the book and by the rules. I'm gonna do this.
He's
that.
the purist. He's like the Jedi Knight purist. He's an idealist.
The party line, guys. Yeah.
Wait, what did you say about the party lines? What did you just say? Wait, repeat what you just said.
He's holding the Jedi party line.
Okay, he's a company man. He's a company man.
Yeah.
But so's Jackie. His Padawan, in fact, they're almost like having a contest to see who can be.
Jackie is Soul's Padawan, from what I gather.
Oh, Jackie is Soul's. Oh,
I'm not 100% sure, but I think, yeah.
Tassi Loa, Ferengi girl, she's been dubbed. She's his.
I believe.
Okay,
yes.
So when Jackie tells Fondar to put his clothes on, and there's another moment where she kind of sort of schools him a little bit. That was not his Padawan. That makes more sense because I was like, really? This is the Padawan? Kind of like being a little, I don't know, insubordinate, one might say. Not insubordinate, I guess.
Well, they always challenge the masters because the masters believe by having a Padawan, that's a learning experience. They're always growing in their connection to the Force and their knowledge of what it means to be a good Jedi. And you hear Master Soul even say it when Vernestra Rwoh comes into the training session. And she says to the Padawans, you're so lucky to have, not Padawans, younglings. You're so lucky to have Master Soul. He's so insightful that he's like, well, I learn a lot from them too. So it's this constant,
I assume that Soul was in the Yoda role, and Yoda doesn't have a Padawan when we meet him in the Phantom Menace because he's the teacher of the younglings. So in a way, like they're all the Padawans. So I wasn't thinking of Saul having a Padawan, but you're right, Jim. We do meet two Padawans. We have Jecki and we have Tassi, and I don't know who goes with who.
Well, Jecki is the one who was flying the ship in the second episode, and she, turned the spotlight on. You're under arrest.
Right.
Caller, what do you guys say about Jecki?
Before you guys let me go, let me go, I wanted to say that Jecki wanted to make a note here. She's the light blue girl with the white hair, right? I believe she's played by Daphne Keane,
right?
Who also plays X-23 Laura Kinney in Logan. And I have a question for you guys. You don't have to answer it now because I have one more point I wanted to make. And I'll ask the question in just a second. But I want to say about Yord. Yord mentioned something that I think a lot of people didn't notice, which was he said, how do you know that she's not in on it? And Saul was like, nah, it's not. And just threw it away. Like it almost seemed like a very intentional throwaway line. And I just want to mention that I don't trust Yord, but I don't trust OSHA any more than I trust Nick.
John, you're from New York. New Yorkers don't trust anybody.
No, but I don't blame them.
I don't trust a damn person. I am a dog walker. I've got to observe both sides of the street, behind me, in front of me. I've got to have my head on a swivel.
John,
and
where in New York are you, John?
Oh, in the middle of the city, my brother.
You're in
the
Midtown?
middle of the city. I'm ready. Yeah. Oh, Queens.
Oh, in Queens. Okay.
Queens.
All right. Cool, man.
All right. He's still walking around. They call him Pepper Spray John as he's out there walking the dog. But hey, John, listen, I think you're onto something, buddy. I think you're onto something. Hold on. You're onto something here because could OSHA be in on it? That's the only thing that could explain the fact. Well, maybe it's because of a sisterly bond, but she clearly had May in her sights with that blaster at the end of episode 2, and she clearly avoided the killing shot and pulled the trigger and shot the wall. She had a clear shot at May.
You think she blew the shot on purpose?
She blew the shot on purpose. I felt that the instant I started watching that scene. She blew that shot. Now maybe it's because she obviously doesn't want to kill her sister, but they were stun bolts.
Right.
So so what's stopping her?
Well, that's why I think that she didn't blow it. Why would she blow a stun bolt?
She had her right there. It almost seems like she deliberately shot the wall instead of May, giving May the opportunity to drive off. And then she shot another token blast at her that missed pew, by a mile. No, I think John, Pepper Spray John, I think you're onto something. And I want you to come over and walk my dog. I have that much confidence in you. I will trust you
know
with
what?
my dog.
All right, I'm the cheapest thing. I'm the most affordable thing in New York City. I'm going to tell you that right now.
All right, we'll put the plug out. How do people get a hold of you to walk their dogs in Queens?
Oh my gosh! Well, I'll tell you what. I'll join the Facebook group.
All right, whatever you want. You know, you're going to be reaching a lot of ears
Yeah, I'll
here.
join the Facebook group. Yeah.
All right, buddy. Thanks, John.
Before I go.
Sorry, John. There he goes.
That kid swallowed him whole.
He had the arm out, stretched.
Oh, there you go.
All right, call
Pepper
back
spray
next
and
week,
all.
John. Next week. Okay, where are we? Oh boy. We're we got a little bit of time here.
Sure we do.
Let's go with all right, Todd. Todd calling from Columbus. Bet you didn't think we'd get you to this so fast. Another Patreon. By the way, everybody so far on the phones have been Patreon supporters. So thank you so much, including this guy, Tad from Columbus.
Hey, guys.
Hey.
Hey, Todd.
Hey. So I wanted to mention, I haven't heard anybody talk about this online or on the show, but I thought both episodes had such an abrupt ending. And I think it was the editing was so quick and so it just didn't give you a chance to soak in what had happened, especially in the first episode. I think that was supposed to be like a big gotcha there. And they went to credit so fast, I didn't have a chance to absorb it.
I'm with you.
The second thing
I'm with you, Todd. I agree with that.
It's way too fast.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And it just ended so quickly, I didn't have a chance to figure out what just happened.
Yeah.
I didn't like that. I like taking a few seconds there to kind of soak it in, and then boom, then you go to directed by whoever, you know?
Yeah. And
why can't you soak it in during the credits?
It just doesn't fit the...
Well, I'm already thinking about, especially the after the first one, I'm already thinking about going to the second episode. I just didn't have a chance to absorb it.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, there's just a
My wife
flow.
thought the same thing.
Yeah, there's just a flow that you get in the way that television and stuff is edited. They usually the last shot of a show, unless it's like a real stinger, does sort of drift in a way so you get a sense of closure for that episode. It's hard to describe exactly, but I just think it's part of the conventions in the way that we're used to. So I'm with you there. I thought it was a little abrupt.
I just did a rewatch of The Sopranos, and a lot of those episodes just end. I mean, there's no ending. They just end.
Well, the series certainly did. The whole series ended very abruptly.
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess that's part of what makes The Sopranos The Sopranos. But again, this is Star Wars. And I think we get to soak it in on multiple viewings. And Star Wars is always traditionally, the audience has always traditionally rewatched several times each addition to the Star Wars saga. Cinematically, definitely. In the age of streaming, maybe that's a little bit harder to do when the episodes are coming at you week after week. However, I did rewatch. I watched both episodes 3 times. And nice. I found it had that thing that we always search for from Star Wars, is being able to extract more out of each viewing every time you do it. And to me, the Acolyte really succeeded in that. So I think maybe multiple viewings will
definitely
soothe the issues you guys are having.
Well, I agree. I think that, I agree with you. I think that I'm already feeling the urge to go back and watch some of these, or watch these 2 episodes again. I wanted to watch them.
Did you watch them while you were commuting?
I did not. I had a wonderful home viewing experience last night.
I worry.
I wanted to get to. I know that. I know. No, I wanted to. I wanted to get to it again today, and I wasn't able to. But on the one hand, I love that we get multiple episodes. It's great. But on the other hand, it just creates a little bit of.
It's a
little extra challenging. A little challenging. But anyway, okay, Todd, you wanted to make another point in addition to the editing, I believe.
Oh, I think that was it. I did go back and watch that ending both endings a few times, and yeah, I agree with Jimmy. I think any good Star Wars, you go back and watch it multiple times, you get more every time you watch it. So,
that's the true
got
test.
Plenty to do in the next couple of days and watch them over. So, hey, thanks, guys. Thanks for everything you do.
Thank you, Todd. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, man.
Sometimes with these streaming shows, it's like they just kind of come and go. They go right through your fingers almost. It's like eating a burrito. It goes right through you.
It's so disposable. It feels so disposable.
It feels disposable, and that's unfortunate because we don't give it that same amount of focus, like hardcore focus that we give the film entries.
Mhm.
And the way we do it is by rewatching. A lot of people roll into conversations with me about the streaming series after only just seeing each episode once. And that to me is doing, you're doing your own personal Star Wars a disservice if you're going to even be thinking about comparing a streaming episode to one of the feature films.
Right.
Because you have to treat it with the same amount of care and respect. And typically that comes in rewatching. Now, I know it's a lot to ask, these things are hitting us weekly alongside, monthly comic books and novels. And if you're trying to keep up with everything, it gets hard to do multiple viewings of individual episodes of the streaming show. But the thing that makes us all such huge fans and experts of Star Wars is the fact that we've watched it 500 times. So that's just part of the ingredients of the stew, And so I say embrace that.
Well,
if you have the time. And don't do it while you're driving, please.
No, don't do
No
it right
videos in the
Don't do
car.
like me. Let's talk real quick about the Sith that we see.
Ooh.
So we've seen better shots through the trailers and some of the publicity. So there's not a whole lot really to say, but we heard the voice. I did want to grab the audio, and I forgot to do it because Jim, I wanted to get your take on how you thought the character's voice was delivered. We've heard everything from, of course, Darth Vader to the Emperor himself. But when we think about like the amplified voices, Darth Vader, Kylo Ren, even Snoke, the Andy Serkis, this voice, I feel like they could have done better. I'm thinking of Grievous. I'm thinking, this one really felt cartoony and a little hacky. It didn't have. I didn't find it scary. I didn't find it. It almost felt more like I'm watching one of those Datelines and they're disguising someone's voice because they're in witness protection. It was more like that.
There was nothing distinguishable about the voice or the effect they put on the voice. It sounded kind of like a knockoff Kylo Ren in some way.
Yeah, probably closer to that. Yeah.
Like, who's doing this voice work? Matt Wood? And I'm not saying that to disparage Matt, but he's done a lot of characters and things like that. So, and being the guy who does sound design, he is not the chief architect of sound on this show.
Oh no,
Matt does the looping with the talent, but I really studied the credits afterwards, and the only Skywalker sound crew member that really jumped to my attention, who's worked on Star Wars previously, is Bonnie Wild, who's been with Skywalker Sound for quite a while now. And she receives a credit on the show, but you don't see some of the familiar names like a David Acord, or even as supervising sound director, Matt Wood has firmly held on to that spot with Star Wars live action productions and animated productions for that matter. And there is a different supervising sound director for these episodes, and a name that did not ring familiar with me.
I'm going to make a prediction here that I think we're going to find, and this may not be real revelatory, but I think we're going to find that this character right here, whoever it is not the big bad of the series. I just felt like this character's introduction didn't have enough weight. This feels like this is the apprentice who's looking for their own apprentice to have, and we haven't been. I don't think we've seen the Sith Lord at this point.
Well, there's Kamir, who works with May.
Yeah.
And also clearly has some sort of working relationship with the Sith Lord. And I was wondering if Kamir is sort of serving a dual role here, much like May is. And Osha, Kimir might be like trying to appear like he's some, down on his luck drunk who works at the pharmacy, but he actually is calling all the shots and serving a dual role as the Sith Lord and as this accomplice of May's, who seems fairly harmless. And the reason I think he's wearing that cloak, and when May sees him, she goes, "What are you wearing?" And he goes, "I took this off the guy who owns the place." He says owns the place. He never says owned the place. So the guy is probably still out. He's probably like locked up in a closet in the back or something. And yeah. And so I was like, and he said, "I'm trying to fit in." Well, I mean, just by looking at him, there's nothing distinguishable about him. There's nothing that stands out about him just on, surface value alone. So he's trying, and it might even be a struggle for him to sort of fit in with the local denizens. And he has an appetite for drugs and booze, which kind of seems like dark side to begin with,
Oh, man, usually I'm right on board with your theories. This is one I'm not feeling this one. What I think that he's okay, there's two things afoot here. For me, the cloaked character with the red lightsaber is not the big bad of the series. I didn't feel that the introduction of the character had enough weight for them to be the Sith Lord. I think that May and this guy, what's his name, Kimir,
yeah.
I think they are, in a sense, auditioning for this person with the red saber. They don't really know that they're in a competition, but they really are in a competition. One of them will be the apprentice, and they will work together to kill the Sith Lord who is over this cat. So that's my theory. Now, Kimir being the apprentice, and I'm going to say apprentice is the person with the red blade that we see. That is an interesting theory, and it would certainly play off the whole theme of duality. But would they go there twice? We already got it with May and Osha. Would they go there again with this guy? I don't know. They might.
Yeah, parallels. And also May does not know who her master is. May does not know who her master actually is.
No, right.
So, further piling on to the mystery. Right. And that's what I love the most, is when we are walking in lockstep with the characters and discovering things as they discover them. So the Sith Lord is a mystery to us as an audience, but it's even better that May doesn't know. Because the characters seem like they know a few things. I mean, they obviously know about their past history on Brendok and the fire and all of that stuff and what led up to it. We as an audience are being kept in the dark. And that can be a little frustrating when Master Torben says, "Well, we thought we were doing the right thing. We were trying to do the right thing." It's like, well, what is that? But the way that the information gets doled out to us as an audience, I like it. But I like it a lot more, as far as a mystery, if there's a character there who is also trying to solve the mystery. And May serves that purpose right now as far as the identity of the Sith Lord.
Yeah. Okay, a few more super chats here. We've got Tam Reese says, "Hey, boyos, just watching episode 2 now, but I wanted to pop in and say, I love you, Nerf Herders. Also, all through the prison break scene in Ep 1, I kept hearing the Spaceballs theme in my head. May the force be with you." I haven't watched Spaceballs in a long time, so I can't say.
Yeah.
But thanks, Tam. Appreciate
hearing
the love.
The theme in the head indicates, some real hardcore Spaceballs love. That's Matt Rashid too, by the way.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Who wrote that? And if there's anything I know about Matt is. He's a big Spaceballs guy.
All right, so here's a super chat from Jeremy. Jeremy says, they did that so he'd be young in the flashbacks. I'm thinking, I was talking about why would they cast Dean Charles Chapman as Torben? Because he had such a very, very poor aged effect on his face with the beard and the hair and all of that. And Jeremy is saying, well, they did that because they're going to do the flashbacks. I think we'll see a young version of him. I think Jeremy's absolutely right. Absolutely right. I wasn't
More
thinking
of a clean
about that.
cut, clean shaven, younger, youthful look.
Yeah.
And also when they show those flashbacks, we also know from footage that has been previously released in promos and trailers that Master Saul will have much shorter hair. So yeah. So there has to be something to distinguish the passage of time physically with these characters.
Right, and I think we'll see Carrie Ann Moss again in these.
I'm sure we will.
Flashbacks, yeah.
I'm sure we will.
Scott St. Louis says hosting the first so this was the Scott that was there. By the way, it's not Scott from St. Louis. It's Scott St. Louis, not to be confused with. Yeah. Hosting the first RFR Boston area Acolyte After Show watch party, the BAAA WP, and Boston Dan, Dave from Boston, and Brian Egan enjoying red milk for the occasion, RFR number 1. Come to the Bop. Is that what it is?
These guys have been drinking a lot of red milk. What I can tell. Can't even decipher their text.
Oh, man. All right, John David chiming in here. John from New York City here. Just curious I wonder if John needs a dog walker. He could call.
That was
dog
John.
Walker friend.
John.
That was John
from New York.
Same John. Oh, okay. All right. Got John on the chat. John on the phone. Okay, John from New York City. Just curious if anyone saw those Acolyte set photos that supposedly had Daphne in different makeup.
Daphne Keane.
Daphne Keane. Okay, he's got it all written as one.
That is.
I think John's also drinking some red milk in different makeup. Was that a misdirect? Also, do you think she's in Deadpool 3? I don't know anything about Deadpool 3.
No.
I just know about the Star Wars, but different makeup. Is that the case? Was there something in the trailer that had her wearing maybe an earlier version or something? Maybe they were retakes.
She's playing dual roles as well.
Oh man.
Yikes.
Good theory. Dave Frizzell III says, I feel as though Saul isn't who he appears to be. He is now leading the charge to track down May and is on the hit list. Could the 4 targets be disciples that the dark figure once eliminated? Could the 4 targets be disciples? Oh, like his disciples. Could they be Darksiders? Man, they'd definitely be playing the long game, wouldn't they? You had Torben that was in a trance or, meditating for 10 years.
That's a tough.
I just don't see Saul. Look, guys, I have to remind everyone of what I had to remind myself when I was thinking about the runtimes. What do we know about these shows? They typically end up where we think they're going to end up. There are none of these big October surprises in any of these shows. I can't think of one. Everyone keeps looking for the I am your father, you are my sister moment. Stop looking. I don't think that's what they're going to be doing here. I could be wrong, but I think you're going to be disappointed when you create a theory out of every character. But you know what? That's also fun, right?
It's
also
fun. Yeah,
a good
it's
time.
fun. It's fun. There's nothing wrong with it. We're all on the same roller coaster ride,
Yeah,
it's
that's
up
true.
to us whether we put our hands up and go or not. And a lot of people are holding their hands up and going So that's fun.
All right. Well, we are going to wrap things up here. I hate to do it, but we've been at it for a couple of hours. And look, we got all season to talk about this. So this is not the final word in episodes 1 and 2. We'll be back next week, Wednesday night, 8:00 p.m. Eastern time. We'll be talking about episode 3. So do be here as we break down the Acolyte. And as you said, Jim, I like that expression. We're all on the same roller coaster. So let's enjoy it for what it is. And we can be critical and we can pick nits, but let's make sure that those nits are just like the show in the galaxy far, far away. That's the nits I prefer to pick. Great calls. Tyler Page, our great call screener and official program observer. Thanks for teeing up some really, really good calls. The switchboard was very busy. We didn't even get to all of them.
Yeah. I feel like it was a slow burn, and then all of a sudden, everyone starts calling in. People's.
It was my Wookiee comments. I know that's what it was. It was my my specious comments about Wookiees.
I think
that
people
certainly
fire
lit
up
up the
and-
chat. I'll say that.
You know.
But Tyler, was there? Gosh, we're talking about 2 episodes, all new characters and situations. For us, it was hard to get to everything, but I've still got notes of things that we didn't get to. But anything that jumps to your mind that really spoke to you with this show so far that maybe we didn't get a chance to talk about?
Well, the prevailing theme I think I had from a lot of the callers, and for myself included, especially Luke from Florida, he told me we're seeing police Jedi, not priest Jedi, which I think is pretty apt. And other callers mentioned these don't seem like the masters of old. They're not patient. They're very quick to judgment and, forceful with that little kid, like grabbing her arm and stuff where someone might not.
By the way, that guy, Olega, he was just a Padawan on Olega. He doesn't have a name, according to IMDb. He's played by Ed Keir. He's a little, he spent a lot of time in the commissary there at the Jedi Temple, I'm going to say. He's a portly fella. That's how I would describe him. And yeah, he was really unrefined for a Jedi, I thought. But he is a Padawan. But you got the other ones that are so by the book and yeah, I don't know. He's really stuck out to me. You're right. He grabbed that kid by the arm.
Yeah. So I don't know. That's probably the biggest thing. Other than that, I got a lot of prequel vibes from this, man. And I really, that strikes a chord with me. And one thing they could do to improve is put some all capital words in that crawl for me. Because it felt weird.
Like caps.
I like. There's a
when
reason.
Yes, they do it for emphasis, or the first time they mention a character's name. Yes, we could see some all caps in there.
Yeah,
that'd be good.
Yeah, that's about
all
it
right.
for me.
Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Thanks for being here as always. Love to have your talents at the switchboard. Appreciate it. All right,
Thanks,
Jimmy Mack, Acolyte. Episodes 1 and 2, final thoughts.
Oh my God. Final thoughts on Lost, Found, and final thoughts on Revenge/Justice. Strap in. It's probably going to take about 10 minutes because I got notes and there are things I didn't get to in these notes that I want to say. Did we notice that May had that circular pattern tattoo on her forehead? What does that stand for? What does that mean? I think it has... it's an identification of like the witch's coven she's from. And that's how Indara, who clearly seemed to know May, but thinking it was Osha, she thinks she knows her and she sees that same tattoo. Does Osha have that tattoo on her forehead? I don't think so. So I'm that's a mystery to me what that tattoo is. And what is that tattoo on Osha's arm? And how long is the line going to be at the tattoo pavilion at the next Star Wars celebration for people lining up trying to get that simple tattoo? I wanted to know more about that because Master Soul looked at it and said, "Oh, what's this?" And she goes, "Oh, you don't like it? I got it on a wild night, out with my crew. You don't like it? What does it mean? Why wouldn't he like it? Maybe he just doesn't like tattoos. I don't know." There's you get to sense some of the heart and integrity of May, the assassin, because she seemed stunned and emotional after killing Indara. So if she was really like a cold-blooded Sith, she wouldn't care. But there seemed to be a moment there where she was like, "Oh my God, what did I do?" And then she seems prepared to kill the barkeep until seeing the child, the barkeep's child. Then she walks away. So it's like, okay, she's showing tolerance. She's just not a brutal killer. But what is it about the child? Was it making her flashback to losing her sister, so she thought, in those fires when she was a child? These are things that I'm keeping notes of as I'm watching these characters and trying to determine their integrity. Osha's Pip was the name of Osha's little droid pal, her tricorder droid pal. Pip. Pip's up, Poe's down. Let's see, what else do I got here? Oh, they do reveal her last name is Anasea, Osha Anasea. and her sister is May Anasea. And we're going to meet that mother Anasea, who is the leader of the all-female witch coven that is connected to the Force and where May and Osha comes from. So they are daughters of Mother Anasea. Back to Pip. Pip can be used as a fire extinguisher. Who knew? Multifaceted.
Jimmy Mack will be buying Pip on Amazon days for half price as soon as that comes out.
Are you kidding me? I'm buying stock in Pip because I think this thing's going to take off and be huge. Everyone's going to have a Pip. Forget your cell phones. Forget your iPads. Pip. iPip. Apple will take that over. There's a nod to the EU. Yord says a line. He says, Corpsec is about as far as from Coruscant as you can get. He says it when he's talking to Osha while she's out doing odd jobs for the Nemoidians. Corpsec clearly is a nod to the corporate sector, which is where the events of Brian Daley's Han Solo novels from the 70s all take place, in the corporate sector. So I thought that was pretty cool. Also, something to note about Master Indara. She advised the Jedi Council to discontinue Osha's training. So they got to a point where they had to actually kick Osha out of the Jedi Order. It wasn't like she left on her own or failed out. She was told to stop being trained probably because of her age. Vernestra Rowe. Okay. Oh my God, Vernestra Rowe. The character Kyle Newman refers to as the She-Hulk of Star Wars, Vernestra Rowe. She does something very odd. Very odd, okay? When she first appears, she uses the Force to open the door leading into the chambers where Master Soul is instructing younglings. Don't those doors automatically open, those blast doors? Anyone walks up to them like Han Solo or a droid, they walk to the blast door and the blast door opens. Why is she using the Force on that? That's like me when I go to the Walmart and I come up to those automatic doors and I give them away. That's the equivalent of that. Why is she using the Force to open those doors? They open automatically. Who are you fooling? Vernestra Rowe. See, the problem I have with Vernestra is she is an authoritarian. She is clearly Master Soul's superior. And later in the second episode, I think it's still in the first episode, he wants to continue looking for it's in the second episode. Soul knows where May is heading and wants to follow her, but Vernestra says, no, you have to return to Coruscant for meaningful discussion. They want to have a meeting about this? Come on. Master Soul knows he can take care of business right away, but no, he has to go back and have meaningful discussion first.
Bureaucrats.
Yeah, exactly. That's the way that the bureaucracy starts seeping its fangs into the Jedi Order and makes them so disconnected from what they're actually there to do and how they're supposed to serve the Force. They just become these corporate bureaucrats who... All right, well, we'll see how that all unfolds. I did like the prison ship with the warden droid. He was kind of like a bulked up 3PO protocol droid, and they gave him great sound design that sounded like chains being dragged on metal. I thought it was awesome. I liked the die book, which was a fleshy mask that covered the mouth of the prisoner. It was a parasite used to subdue violent criminals, and it does weird stuff to your brains, man. And I like that. I like that cool prisoners on board that ship. The one-eyed guy with the electronics for eyes was awesome. And then, of course, we mentioned that alien with the retractable tentacle tongue. Loved him. Osha tries to use the Force as the ship is crashing toward planetside. She tries to use the Force to bring Pip, her little tricorder droid, to her, and she fails, but we think she fails because the ship suddenly jolts
and jostles to one side, and the droid slides conveniently to her. The Force works in mysterious ways. And I think Osha was actually tapping into the Force at that moment. She couldn't do the Force pull, but she was able to achieve what she was trying to achieve by connecting to the Force. So I think visually it looked like a fail, like how Sabine would fail every time she tried using the Force in the Ahsoka series. I think in this case, it appeared to be a fail, but she still ended up with her goal of reacquiring her droid. So I think that the Force had something to do with that. We'll find out, maybe. Osha and May reunite in a vision as children, and May admits to killing the Jedi, and then her eyes go all black like they did on the X-Files. And we saw that in some promo material for the show. So I'm looking forward to see more of what that black ink is that falls into their eyes. Yord had the honor of saying one of the most famous Star Wars lines in episode 2. He said, "I got a bad feeling about this." So that was like scratching an itch a little bit, you know. So, yes, they said it. Okay, good. Let's move forward. Sol thinks May was trained as a Jedi, and he says, "You misunderstood the Jedi arts. You're using it for aggression and attack." But he doesn't realize that she actually is being trained in the dark side. At least I think so. The show ends up on the planet Kofar, the forest retreat where Kelnaka lives. And I thought the debut of Kelnaka was awesome. Regardless of what some RFR co-hosts think, I love seeing Kelnaka and I want to see more. We got Nemoidians in this episode too, and that was thrilling for me. I actually cheered. But Newt Gunray not in this episode.
All right, that's going to do it for us. We'll see you next week and next time here at Rebel Force Radio and the Acolyte After Show. This has only just begun. We're out of here. Till next week, for Rebel Force Radio, I'm Jason.
I'm Jimmy Mack.
And remember,
the Force will be with you, always.